Second.
You got a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. That, we've got the minutes from the last
11th and 14th.
14th and the 11th. Do you want to do separate motion on each of those? Let's start out with the minutes from the September 11th meeting.
So move to approve them.
Okay.
I'll second that motion.
Got a motion and a second to approve the September 11th meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Then we'll go to the September 14th meeting, and we need a motion to approve those if there's no changes.
So moved. I'll second that motion.
Okay, got a motion and a second to approve the minutes from September 14th. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, we'll start off with the first item of business, is secondary roads. Dave?
First thing is utility permits. I've got one from Raccoon Valley Electric Co-op on 190th Street between Glidden Township sections 18 and 19. This is straight north Glidden, just a mile. With Storks, they're boring across the road under 190th Street with a 7200 volt electric service line, 4-foot below the ditch bottom, into Storks there. Most everybody knows where that cattle lot is, along there. And the second one is a West Central Rural Water one. And it's between section 17 and 20 of Washington Township for a water service to a hog unit for Aaron Stangle. It's like a 2-inch line they're going to bore across the road there.
What sections are those?
17 and 20 on 250th Street. You've got a pretty nice map showing it. Just south of the mile south of the Five House Road, that east-west road, a mile south of the Five House Road.
Throw it to that master matrix.
This one here is Glidden Township.
Washington, whoops. Double one, there's two of them.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2 utility permits.
Okay, got a motion, need a second.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the 2 utility permits. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Actually, with that, we can go down, we can start on drains if you want to start while I do this.
Well, she's got to get pen.
Okay.
Got a favorite, huh?
I do.
On the drains, if that's okay, Rick Branks reported a 2x5 hole in his field. It's in drain 29, and I can't tell you what section number that is. It's in Glidden, section 30, isn't it? Thanks.
What drain? 20?
Drain 29.
Drain
That's the
29.
one that drains the west half of Glidden. Looks like the holes between 205th Street or the Ballpark Road and the railroad tracks there. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And this is just, I guess, an update on drain 9 and 13. Some repair work that's been done by George Johnson on the Crystal Farm so far. there's $6,417 worth of work in 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 separate invoices fixing tiles in 9 and 13. Marty and I went out and looked at this and we talked about it earlier. We've got $2,187 in the drain. We talked about paying him when we got all the work done.
How much was the total?
So far, $6,417. We could clean that balance up and maybe clear up like 3 of these smaller bills. Just pass them around. The work that they've been working on is here, and on this main ditch, they cleaned that out with the excavator. That was the biggest bill of the $3,140, digging the dirt out of that ditch. We'll have to get together with Green County at some point, have a joint talk like we did the other day on 86-150.
Do a conference call.
Yeah,
What's the balance in that?
this 2,100 and something.
2,100.
Yeah. This is something we tried a little different. Marty and I went out there and looked at it. They seem to have very good capabilities, and they've got the equipment, and a very experienced man that did a lot of work in Greene County on drainage districts.
I remember that discussion.
Yeah,
We talked about that.
just kind of update, really. I think he was okay to sit on the bills till we reassessed, which would again be April or May, I suppose, with those taxes, and when we do that on an annual basis rather than doing stamped warrants. But there is a little money in there that we could pay a portion of the bills.
So you're saying this project isn't complete yet?
Now, I think it's getting pretty close to complete on 9 and 13, but they've got to go in drain 99. That small drain is, you can see it on the cover map there. It's within 9 and 13. See
That up
there?
in here?
Yeah, it's on the
Yeah.
upper end of it.
That's not done yet?
No.
That's not done yet. There was a lot of unknowns up there, and there hasn't.
He's showing at 99 right below your pin there.
Right here.
I'm guessing some of that on 99 will probably get done after crops are out, I'm guessing.
I think so too. Plus, they've got another drain to work on the Slice farm.
Mhm.
Oh,
And
section 15.
crops are in there, and it's pretty wet. We've got to do a road board underneath the bore that hasn't got done.
Section,
because it's
all
been
of them,
wet.
yeah.
Mhm.
Typically, when the farmers get their statements in September for the year, they get their drainage assessment. This would be a special assessment. It would have to be a special assessment to get on their April statement, wouldn't it?
Well, we do the assessment in April and May, and then it'll be on their September statement.
Okay, all
When we do
right.
taxes next year.
So this won't get collected then
Till
until?
September.
Till September,
16th.
okay. All right, all right. That makes sense then.
In the past, we paid out usually what's in the balance to clear the balance out. We do, especially if the secondary road has been involved, and then we held them, kind of not done it the 100% correct way, the stamp warrants.
So the contractor's gonna sit on this bill for exactly a year,
Yeah.
or portion of it, the
Yeah.
remainder of it. Okay. If he's okay with that, okay with it.
It's getting stuff fixed, and
Yeah.
I think that's, yeah. And anyway, I think I'll have Becky process probably maybe these 3 smaller bills and send them
Get
through.
that off.
We'll just get that amount paid out anyway. There's no sense sitting on
Right.
this
Mhm.
money. Truck discussion. Last week,
Do you need a motion on drain 29?
I do.
Okay.
So,
Need a motion to do the repairs on drain 29?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Got a motion, need a second?
I'll second the motion.
Got a motion and a second to do the repairs on drain 29, just pulled by Glidden. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Okay, truck discussion.
I only printed one, it's 3 pages on the specs, it's pretty well like prior specs, other with updating for the new pollution stuff and the current things that are on the trucks. Give one of those to Dean. We talked about truck mileage a little bit last week. Got one truck in the budget. I asked the board if they might consider putting another dump truck in the budget. We also talked about a truck, a belly dump unit. And
Okay, so this is the specs just for a tandem then?
that's just for a tandem,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Were you planning on, I don't think on September 11th we made a finite decision. Were you planning on getting bids on 1 or 2 tandems or and a belly dump to
Right
do a
now,
comparison?
all I've got is
Shared this with us last week.
approval, I guess, for one
I
tandem,
sure
and
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you today for the approval for 2 tandems.
You also provided us with a list, and I don't recall if we were planning on trading anything in. I don't believe we were.
I don't think so, no. I'd like to get the fleet up to have enough trucks to run on rainy days and whatnot. We could have some spare trucks for the main motor graders to come in. You wouldn't get a lot of miles on them, but they'd be kind of like an extra truck around to do that with. It's our older ones we've got right now are not in real bad shape, and they do get used on rainy days, but we don't have enough of them.
What, I think you were talking to some of your employees and your road foremen on what they thought would work best. Did they have an opinion on the 2 trucks versus a truck and a belly dump?
I think they have the opinion that probably the 2 trucks would be the best.
Okay.
It's kind of been our desire to, if we could run 10 snow routes in the winter, that would be the best. We kind of add one in around Carroll on these heavily traveled roads when we have a guy and when we have a truck that's operational. And we're getting into our older fleet there. We usually have a breakdown, and it's just, yeah, they're of the opinion that probably that would be the best thing to do.
Okay.
And I can't disagree with them.
All right, I tend to agree with them. And we talked about this. There's a little more efficiency when you're running a belly dump, but a lot more flexibility with
Yeah.
tandem axles. So
Yeah.
we had a great discussion on that.
Not that it wouldn't be great to have a belly dump, but given the limited resources.
Exactly.
And I suppose, we could buy a belly dump, but that seems to be going maybe a little too far in one shot, maybe
Well,
save that for another year.
It's just a business decision. There's more things we all want in our businesses, but they're financial guidelines we have to follow.
Yeah. And I've talked to International, they're putting a quote together based on this spec. I've talked to one Mack dealer, kind of an out-of-territory Mack dealer, and I've got another one coming this afternoon at 1:30. And I was gonna give them all the specs and tell them to all give me a quote on that. Spec is pretty well written around the Mack truck. It's kind of what we have the most of. It seems to work out pretty well for us. International's got a new series of truck coming out, maybe in January, that does kind of pique my interest. It sounds like a pretty good quality truck. We wind up putting almost the value of the truck into it with the snow equipment, the labor, the plow, the wing, the box, and hydraulic system and all that. So it's really the best if you can keep these quite a while and get your return out of that investment.
Yeah. Without a trade-in, we don't have any carryover equipment, do we?
No.
Or kickback, however you want to call it, throwback.
Yeah. Yeah, we wouldn't have any reduction in like the grader, for instance, getting the $70,000 for the trade, that really made quite a difference.
No.
I don't think, there's nothing here that we'd probably get much more than $5,000 to $10,000 for if we would,
Yeah.
we would trade those off.
So, when you take this out for bids, I should look at the specs a little closer. Are they gonna be equipped, or is that a separate bid item?
Separate bid
Separate.
items. We would do the putting together, we would buy all the components and do like we've done in the past, mount the box. We've had Galings do some box mounting lately, but plumb the hydraulics and mount the wing and the box, and just put the truck together.
Okay. We're well into September, obviously. We're gonna be taking bids and buying one or two trucks. What would be the timeline? Do you have them road ready, one or two?
It doesn't sound good as far as for delivery for some of them. You're talking 4 months. One vendor, the International,
So
I think
they-
is 2 months. We're not gonna see it this winter, more than likely.
Okay.
So it's, yeah, it probably won't plow a drop of snow this year.
With that in mind, we're kind of discussing whether to get one or two. Is there a big advantage to buy two at one time when neither of them is gonna be put to work in the same fiscal year?
I think $800 a unit, the other thing. And then we would have some commonality of filters and systems and repair, and the ones we have bought in the past have been two. Actually, probably the Sterling was the only aberrant one in there, and that was because the Freightliner burned up, and we wound up replacing that with insurance. I'm not even sure just how that turned out. Can't remember.
When you cash flow this out, would it be better to pay for maybe one of them in the next year or not? Or how's your budget looking for two, if we're gonna consider that?
Budget's looking pretty good. We can talk about that, I guess, next as far as the budget.
Go ahead.
Budget amendment, but we came in this year with a good balance. Just because we didn't get some construction projects done. I'll get to the right page, but we came in with a $2.8 million balance. So within those funds themselves, so it would be enough to take care of the budget amendment and the extra work we've done. So, yeah, we do have the funds and still keep a reasonable balance.
How much do you estimate the total unit's gonna cost you?
I think if you had labor and everything to it, I'd put in $195,000 per unit, put in $390 for the pair.
Just to add on to Neil's questions, did you say that you have in the past typically bought 2 trucks at a time?
Yeah.
But we just budgeted for 1 this year, and what was the reasoning for that?
Well, we had a grader and a truck both. Usually we laid off a grader, and, that there were periods, and now that's probably the only logic to keep that new equipment number kind of in a similar looking number across the, and,
But weren't we averaging 1 grader per year?
yes, yeah. And there's been times we bought 2 graders too, but
Yeah, I remember that 1 year that we did.
we're looking at.
But we had laid off the year prior
Yeah.
too.
Nearly $700,000 in that equipment line item, and it's been a while since we've done that. I remember back in '85, we did it, we bought $700,000 worth of equipment back in '85, but it's been a while since we bought that much in 1 year. But it's not inordinate.
Yes, way I look at it, we want to keep our fleet up. It's a public service to the people. And once you get behind, you never catch up.
Well, that chart there was very telling. I mean, we get the
Yeah.
good out of them.
Yeah.
And there's-
Yeah.
Yeah, you're getting a lot of them there with a lot of miles on them.
Yeah. A lot of hours. And we've got, our top 8, we've got 8 pretty new ones. But then after that, we're dipping down into those other ones, and we do have 9 routes. Not that, you couldn't have 8 routes, but that would affect your performance in snow removal. We can do that at this point.
In fact, I got questioned this week for that article in the paper about the ambulance and the rotation, and I said that, the miles that we're putting up on those ambulances are a pittance compared to the miles that we're putting, and these undergo much more rigorous use than an ambulance does. I mean, ambulance doesn't beat up and down the gravel like these do. Carry the loads and multi-purpose and that sort of thing, so enough about that.
We actually, I think it was with maybe the last set of trucks, one of those sets of trucks, took us a while to get them together. We just had Mike at the time, just one fabricator. They actually had suspended the warranty, and then they stopped it and they restarted it and didn't get us on our warranty. They were nice enough to do that. That's probably the downside, maybe, Neil, if the dealer doesn't suspend the warranty, if we take quite a time getting them ready and whatnot. Say it would take 4 or 5 months to get the units ready and out, which really it did happen in the past once.
Okay.
We do have more people available now, more expertise.
Yeah, unarguably, as Marty says, I think we all agree that more and better equipment is better service for our customers. It's just a matter of priorities. Is it better to spend it on a truck and snow plow to provide the service of snow, or could it be better spent on a bridge or a road repair that would also be of service? So just a matter of priorities. I'm not sure where that all plays out. Tough decision there. And I don't have any project I'm arguing for either. I just think, just because it's a good thing, we still need to at least think about the alternatives, which would also be a good thing,
Yeah.
So.
And I'm one that would just soon budget for it rather than amend the budget for it. But it's just more natural that way. But once again, here we are 6 months down the road from where we were sitting down doing our budgeting, and we've got more pertinent and current information available to us now too. So I don't know. I'm not going to have any real heartache either way. I'd just soon budget for it. And particularly if we're not going to really gain anything in terms of getting them to use for another winter. But I'm not going to have any heartache either way. I mean, aptly demonstrated we need to. I just wish we would have budgeted for two. But I might have had heartache over that too, so.
Yeah, I think I was probably gun shy and said, well, you want a grader, that's $300,000, you want 2 of these trucks, and they're $400,000, and that's,
Right.
probably just wasn't willing to go there.
Yeah, the trucks are almost the cheap part of this equation, because you still got to upfit them, and it almost doubles the cost by the time you get the bodies and the hoists and the sanders and the plows and
Yeah.
Can you take that part?
Lights.
Can you take that part and push that to the next? Can you buy the trucks and then buy the equipment and put that on the next
That
agenda?
could actually happen, but,
And since you're not gonna use it for a year.
you could budget that way, but then you certainly wouldn't want to have those trucks just sitting out there without any bodies on them, and then they're really a
Right,
waste of money.
that's true.
once
You
they
know?
get here,
Yep.
we're gonna try and go after it, and if we have to, farm out some of the works like we did in the past with Galings to mount the bodies, or a welding shop to do that, they can work on that. So we've got some good fabricators in-house and good electrical and hydraulic people with good knowledge, so
Right.
make use of them,
Oh.
provided they're not out plowing snow or doing something else.
Yeah, that's a full-time job for those mechanics, and just certainly a great use of their talents.
It is, and then
Great.
they can build them the way they want them built, and they know where stuff is, and they can build them operator-friendly rather than farming it out as a turnkey thing, which most of these people will do a turnkey thing, but a lot of times you don't get what you want or the level of quality.
What was, I saw one was sitting out at Houseby over the weekend. Is that truck gonna be tied up for a while, or do you know?
I don't think so.
Okay.
They make pretty regular trips anymore, given the complexity of their.
I saw one sitting on the side of the road north of town.
Ooh, I don't know about that one.
That's probably the same one. It's on Housby's.
They didn't have to drag it out there.
Dave, I was just looking at this, the first top for newer trucks there have got considerably more miles on than the ones below that. I'm just curious as to how that happens, or what kind of miles those
Oh.
trucks run.
Usually the one first out of the gate.
I mean, the miles driven in 2014, and,
Uh-huh.
then you take those and you drop down, then you're almost half some of those, of the
You
top
get down
four.
at after number 7, those are backup units.
Yeah. But you said there was 8 of them, right? That are
Yeah.
basically your top trucks.
Those are probably our top four, those,
So they just get put out on the road more.
they get put out on the road more. And usually they start out, we've been getting those pups and whatnot. And we've had different drivers. A couple guys recently retired, that's all they did was drove trucks. So they really put a lot of miles on two specific units. And, yeah, there's a lot of variables to take into account there. Some of it was the first truck that got ready and went out the gate, and then the second truck that got ready, some of that difference in there too.
So we got 9 full and 3 part-time trucks plus the belly dump right now.
Yeah, got it,
Mm-hmm.
So once again, just to summarize, it was pretty much the consensus of your department that 2 trucks would be wiser than 1 and 1. 2 straight trucks.
Well, I'd say go ahead and bid 2 and see what happens. We can always go with 1.
Unless you said $800 a piece might be offered if they buy 2 at a time.
Yeah. And I think of course, there's gonna be a price increase anyway for 2017, so that's just to be expected. Certainly.
As we're waiting for those bids, and I agree with Gene, I think it's a good idea to see what we get for bids, just kind of look over your 5-year plan or something and just say, hey, well, is this truck better than any of these bridges and other road projects that we have on hold?
I should
Okay,
get those
something.
bids back, hopefully, I don't know, by next Monday.
Okay.
Maybe the following Monday, but I'll just bring them up then. And I didn't bring one along with me now. I think they had bid for 1, and it was twice that much for 2, but I think it was with the assumption that the 2 would be bought, so.
It's hard for me to weigh this out too, because on one side, if you got a good, better truck and snowplow operation, you're helping people on a daily basis when it snows out. But on the other side, when you fix a bridge, you have a long-term fix that isn't gonna wear out as fast as some of this stuff, so
Yeah.
there's, makes the decision-making more difficult.
It's not an easy thing to do either way.
When you mess with Mother Nature, you're not gonna win.
Yeah. I remember after bad winters, we always put a snow blower in. And we thought about it. Then we thought, well, we didn't have a bad winter last year, so we let it go. But every bad winter, we always wished we bought that snow blower.
And we've been buying all-wheel drive graders in between, so
Yeah.
that kind of changed that whole
That kind of
story,
changed
so.
that whole thing, eh?
Right.
Yeah.
When you look at the miles that are on these, you ain't got no virgins out there by any means anymore.
No, there's not a lot of extra depth to the.
Going to Las Vegas with my siblings.
I can see why they would say the 2 trucks are better.
My younger brother.
But you got a lot of miles. You are getting a goodie out of them.
Yeah.
Both have very good jobs.
And we just, we invest so much in them, we about have to. I mean, with all the stuff that we hang on them, it's equivalent to the value of the truck. you just about have to run them a lot of years to feel good about it, rather than,
Yeah.
you know, getting rid of them every 5, 6, 7 years. And going through purchasing all this stuff.
How many companies are gonna be bidding on this?
3.
3.
2 MAC dealers and 1 international. Trying to keep the dealership, or at least the service end of it, local.
Mac will let 2 dealers to bid on.
They don't like it. We've done
I
it
was
in
gonna
the
say, I was
past.
surprised that they do, but it's like cat, there's only 1 dealer.
Yeah.
Their territories aren't protected.
They're not protected.
No. I think one time we had 3 MAC dealers there.
Keeps them honest.
Yeah. But there seems to be a competitive spirit here anyway.
In my next life, I'm gonna be a cat dealer.
Me too.
Okay, any other discussion on trucks? Move down to the bridge plans.
So I guess I'll come with what we get. I'm gonna be telling them all 2.
I believe that's a consensus
Yeah, I
group
think
to
so.
get
Yeah.
bids on
And if we
1 or
only
2,
want
see how it
one, we'll
goes.
have to say, well, we only want 1. What's your price
Yeah.
for 1?
Yeah.
Is that the consensus of the board?
I think
That's
so.
what I
I
would
think
say.
so, yeah.
There you
Get the
go.
bids on 2.
Clear direction now, Dave?
Yep.
Good.
Sounds good. Bridge plans. Darren's got to, he's still negotiating with the district on a guardrail, trying to get the guardrail shortened up, since this is the federal aid one, and I think we'll have to put those off until next week.
Are you gonna wait till next week?
Next week on that. That's got a December 15th wedding. As an update,
This is the Virginia Halber
yes, it is.
Bridge. Okay.
Um,
How did the bidding go with the Brody Bridge?
I'm trying to find that, Neil.
That was the 15th, I believe.
It was, here it is.
We had an estimate of, what, 330,000?
Yeah, it went for 332, 345. The final design estimate was 340, 345.
Hey, that was pretty close, Dave.
Look at that.
That's real close.
Yeah, oh, Darren did that, so that's why it's good.
He's within 1%.
Yeah,
The estimate was 340, 345.
that's the one we put in our, when we had the real quantity numbers. the
And this is the one where?
Brody Bridge,
Brody Bridge.
is that 130 by
100
slab?
30.
100 by 30 slab?
Uh-huh.
When will they start?
Well, maybe around November, I'm guessing.
Okay.
And then below that, you can see that Manning Bridge. That's the one that we're gonna provide the inspection on.
Okay.
Well, that's the one the city had.
Yeah.
Did that
Will
come in
be.
lower?
Mhm.
Did it come in lower than the last one?
I think it did, yeah, Gene. I can't tell you just how much, but it came in lower than the last one. Whether they'll accept it or not, I don't know. Oh, it's got some extra width to it, water line and sidewalk.
Well, that'll work good. Harvest will be pretty well over by then.
Yeah.
I wouldn't bet on it.
I'm an optimist. I know what you're saying, Marty.
Under budget amendment. You have 3 areas in my budget that I'd like to amend. And they're the ones in yellow. Our construction program, I think we know what happened there. We wound up getting the RISE project, box culvert project, and now the Brody Bridge. We had 830,000 budgeted. And we're gonna be pretty close to 1.5 million without letting anything else. I think there's a good chance that we have the funding to let a little more work locally that we may do that, and may ask for a second amendment later on the construction end of things, but this would keep us whole, and I believe we knew where we were going with this. The prior year, you can see we only spent $273,000 in construction. We anticipated to get those box culverts done, but didn't. That's, and then real late in the year, we came up with the RISE one, amended our last year's program, and put it in.
Could you refresh me on the figures, like the Brody, that'll be about 67,000, because that's a federal project, right?
Yeah, but we'll have to budget the whole works for the county one.
So we'll have to budget the 332.
We gotta budget the 330 and then take the reimbursement of the
Back
8%
out.
of the
Yes.
332.
Okay.
So as it's kind of a pass-through. Now, if we're in the DOT and we got it all in the same year, it would just show up as the 20% is all that, just like you were saying.
Mhm.
But we got two different criteria.
Okay.
So the revenue will be next year?
I'm thinking the revenue will probably be next year, yeah. Just to phrase this ahead of time here, I believe we have enough money in our balance head in reserves without going into the revenue part of it. We're going to get additional revenue for road use tax here, but I don't even think we'd have to show that because our balance that we have in reserve right now, our 2.8 million that we came in with, would be enough to make up the amendments. After construction under roads, the maintenance projects we did, the Crawford County line, Halber, and Roselle, those three projects. It appears with what else I have in there would take us up to about 2.411 million in that line. And then down under new equipment, if we do 2 trucks, that would take us to 692 from 53700.
No, it's very good. Thank you. That's exactly what I wanted.
Any questions or comments for Dave regarding the budget
We're
amendment?
kind of right at that line. We haven't overexpended anything yet. So hopefully we can get in there without doing that with the budget amended. And we knew all this was coming and got the revenue for it. But we have nothing on so to pay for it without counting the revenue.
So back to this Brody Bridge, and then the following fiscal year, FY17, we'd have to plan that 264 or 5,000 income coming back from the federal, because we paid it all up front.
Yeah.
And we'd be stuck for 67,000 of our share.
Once it nets out.
Once,
Yeah.
They actually sent us a note out this year that I've never seen, that they're changing software. They say in October of their fiscal year, and told us to expect delays in our reimbursements.
I think there's more to it than the software.
They're blaming software, aren't they?
Yeah.
Good excuse for
Yeah.
that.
It's called extension of map 21.
Yeah.
Software's the scapegoat.
Yeah. I've never seen anything like that.
That really helps budgeting.
Well, a lot of revenue made for it. Sounds like you are working on a 6-year program with 3 years of funding. See what happens.
Yeah, luckily, we're solvent enough to where
Make it
we
work.
can take care of that. The projects they're worthwhile projects. Get out of your hair. I think that's about it.
How they doing the box covers?
I believe, well, we got the 3 in at the one intersection. They haven't done anything yet on the 4th one.
Oh, so
Over
they're
there.
down to the 4th one?
Down to the 4th one, the
Yeah.
one with the curve on it, so that's gonna be an interesting one.
Yeah.
And, I believe we got some gravel on that intersection. Haven't made it out there yet, but that's where I'm going after this.
I'm still concerned about when that curved one where it dumps out, if that water's gonna be going straight enough to keep the banks all in shape and everything. But
Hope so, yeah.
the engineers got that handled.
First heavy rain will
Johnny
find
did that,
out.
he closed his folder pretty quick.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
We'll be around later on. If you want to look at some gravel roads.
We'll look at some gravel roads. I got that guy coming at 1:30
Before lunch.
before lunch.
I'll call you if you don't, we'll do it another time.
Yeah. Some other places that I gotta go.
The intersection of 160th and Hawthorne.
Want to go up and look at it?
What's that?
I'll just go up and look at it.
Yeah, you can do that, and I can talk to you about it.
Okay.
You talk about L crosses too sometime.
Yeah, that's another one I haven't made it to yet. Well, if we can get together, that'll work
Okay.
out good.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, Dave.
Good,
Thanks, Dave.
Good week, Dave.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Okay, with that, we'll go down to case management MCO agreement. Justin, Angela, John.
We get to see a lot of you two.
I know, I'm getting used to coming in here.
Yeah. Just keep a standing reservation for you on Monday's agenda.
Just about might as well.
That's all right. We like seeing you.
John was able to review the agreement. As far as new information that I can bring, I just filled in some of the information that I could with our agency name where that was blank, and I filled in our covered services. And we don't have the fee yet. We're still waiting, apparently, according to AmeriHealth, we're waiting for DHS to provide them a fee schedule before they can provide that to us. So that's what we're waiting on, to put the fee in there. And then we're also waiting for their provider manual.
So we're gonna use VHS's fee schedule, not ours?
Well, they're the ones putting one together, so if they say that this is the fee for the case management, then that's what we'll have to follow. We've also heard some other information that we'll just use our same rate for this this fiscal year still, and then cost settle at the end of the year. So, I'm not sure which it's gonna be. We've heard, two different things from two different sources. It's kind of, it makes things difficult.
What was shared last week was that we would have to keep our current rate through the end of June, because that would complete the fiscal year, and then we'd still have to finish out the cost report, and then from that point forward, maybe do the fee schedule.
That's the information that Don Menzer had provided to us, which the MCO was telling me that they're waiting on the fee schedule, and that they would get that to us, so, I'm not sure where the mix-up in communication is coming from, or which side it's on, but that's where we're at as far as the fee schedule.
Okay, so DHS could potentially be figuring the fee schedule then.
Yeah, eventually if it's
Is there any
not now,
negotiation there?
I doubt it.
It's kind of like the plumber telling you what he's going to charge, and you're saying, well, this is what I'll pay you to do it. Is there any negotiation there?
The only thing that, according to the MCO, is while the rate may be fixed, we would still provide a number of units. So we would still provide a certain number of units, which according to the MCOs, you provide what you provide. So that's, according to them, not something that DHS could say right now, as long as we keep the same case management code that we bill for, because that's a 15-minute unit. Some of the MCOs are looking to go to a per member per month fee, and that would just be a straight up, this is what you get paid for each client you serve. So then there would be no wiggle room as far as that goes with those MCOs. But AmeriHealth, they're looking to just keep our same case management code, and we would bill 15-minute units either at our current rate or the fee schedule rate, and then we would just bill as many units as we use.
Now, with your current fee schedule, I think I have a problem with it, but I understand it, because in addition to that fee, you were getting some other reimbursements, which no longer will be there.
The rate that we have now excludes, because we have that 23% limitation on the indirect, so it would exclude some of the indirect services. So that current rate would not provide for our whole cost for the program. But what they were saying was that if we, like the last cost report I brought in, we actually got paid more than our program needed.
Mhm.
And so we cost flow, or, we do the cost settlement with that, and then we give that back if we got an overpayment. According to the MCOs, if that happens and we get like an overpayment or an underpayment, it is what it is. So if you have that rate and they don't cost settle at the end of the year, if we provide more units than we expected, then we make more money, then we would keep it, regardless if it was more than what we expected or not. If we cost settle, then if we get more, then we would have to give that back.
Okay, I think this fee schedule's a pretty pivotal thing, what these fees come in at, Back to Joe the plumber, I don't know why I got him in mind, but, if you want him to offer here's your fee to plumb my house, he's gonna say, sure, or I can't do it for that, I'm not gonna do it. So we're pretty sensitive to what this fee might be, because we have to cash flow here.
Case management used to be at a per member per month fee when I first started. And it's only been within the last probably 4 or 5 years that we've gone to the 15-minute unit. So the rate that we had at that point in time was a pretty average rate across the state. And if that's what they're going to look at doing is more of an average rate, it could be very comparable to what our rate used to be.
Okay.
They may look at a state average, and I would say we're probably pretty average in terms of rates.
Okay, all right, well, I just addressed my concerns. I can't make any sound statement without knowing what the rates are and how they
Yeah.
compare to your cost.
Exactly. And if they're gonna cost settle at the end of the year or not, because that's probably the most important thing, is whether they're gonna cost settle. Because then it really doesn't matter as much what our rate is, because we're gonna get paid for, the direct stuff that they say we're gonna get reimbursed for. So if they do that at the end of the year, our rate really doesn't matter as much.
John, did you have any comments on the contract?
Well, I don't know how constructive they'll be. Personally, the draft is better than the one, we got before. And I know a lot of these things are sort of take it or leave it, but there's one thing that I've dealt with many times over the years, both as buyer and seller. And I direct your attention to subparagraph 5.3 on page 9. And this is something that is very common, is the indemnification clause. If we make a mistake, we'll indemnify you. If you make a mistake, you'll indemnify us. Indemnification includes not just the loss of the damage, but attorney fees. The problem that I have with indemnification is that government is different than a private party. Carroll County has a lot of immunity under the law, as the state does. And if you agree to indemnification, above and beyond what the county is liable for, and I can make up some far-fetched example, then you're exposing the taxpayers to a potential liability that under the law does not exist. My great preference in contracts is typically I just take those indemnification paragraphs out, which leaves people where they find themselves. If you breach a contract, you may be held liable if you break the law, break the rules, etc. And then my stopgap position, when these big non-negotiable types don't like that, is that I like to have it say indemnification is provided by law. In other words, if we're liable under the law, fine, but if we're not going to indemnify you. So I don't know whether I should save my breath, especially if they start getting counties to sign on without looking at these forms.
I think most of them are sending them to their county attorneys.
Well, okay.
I mean, from what?
If I had my druthers, I would like to see you orchestrate among everybody you know, if you have a listserv or something that you deal with, that we need to just simply not read in this sort of thing.
Okay.
Either take it out or just say it's provided by law.
Okay.
And do I think realistically this will ever be a problem? Probably not, but here's the deal. You're agreeing to indemnify them for willful acts. County insurance may or may not cover that. So it's nice to say, well, we just have our liability insurance and act well, but, so there's this teeny slice, and of course their response will be, well, that's such a remote thing, why do you care? And my response is, well, if it's such a remote thing, why do you care? So that's what I'd like to task you with if you want to, if you have some sort of a list there. Other than that, you need to be aware that this is an automatic renewable agreement. Okay, about that. In general, I like those things, except that if you want to get out, you need to be a little more on top of things. In this particular case, automatic renewal, I think, is not problematic. If they continue to be the Medicaid manager, then you have to deal with them, right?
Right, yeah, we would want to.
You don't have
just
a choice.
Right.
There's no other game in town.
Right now, there's not.
And in deference to the plumber question, we can't go to a different plumber.
Right, yeah. Yep.
So, that's my advice to you. If you're okay with at least a little pushback, because if we don't get the pushback now by lots of counties, then this is going to start happening. Then they're going to say, hey, Justin, we've got 68 counties already signed. If you think we're going to make a special deal for you,
Right.
it isn't going to happen. So,
And we can contact ISAC, who contacts all the other.
ISAC would be an excellent point. I don't know who the point person would be down there. They, in my judgment, all these sorts of deals, they need to be in on this thing. They get a lot of expertise, a lot of experience, and I would suspect they already are. So they need to know that we would be on board to a little bit of pushback on this deal. So any other questions about any?
John, I appreciate your comments. I raised a similar question when mine was more specifically towards 5.1, where it was just ahead of it, where at a very minimum, we're going to have to let, Mid-Iowa know that there's another layer of provisions here in terms of insurance, because it's no longer directly to the consumer in the county. There's a third party here, and generally, there's costs associated anytime
Board
you
of
start
Supervisors, Board of
indemnifying another layer. So that was a thing that I brought up last
I
week.
had emailed her, and I told her that the Mid-Iowa lady that is the representative, and I told her that things were changing, that we would be contracting possibly with a different agency for the Medicaid services, and she said that no changes needed to be made, so maybe.
Okay.
I
Actually,
asked
the
the wrong
person you
question,
probably
but I
want
just
to
kind of
step forward
explained
to
the
at courthouse
situation
here
of what we were
would
doing,
be
how
Carroll
we wouldn't be
Wilburn.
contracting with Medicaid anymore.
deals
we'd
with
be
all of our
contracting
computer
with, like, a big insurance
information
company,
and-
so.
Yeah, Wilburn, Wilburn.
Would there be something more specific that I should be asking?
I'd document the conversation at a very minimum.
I would send it to Slang,
You know,
point blank say. Are we
what's
covered?
Carl's number, do you know?
Yeah.
What's Carl's number? Courtney, do you know what Carl's number is? right
Maybe
offhand?
that's the way it'll end up.
So the
The
extension
pool
sorry.
wants to serve counties as well.
Just a second, I'll have to look it up here, I'll give you his number.
Maybe they'll just say, okay, fine, we're gonna cover that. But generally speaking, you don't
Okay.
buy insurance to cover willful intentional acts. You can buy car insurance, but you can't
Okay,
buy
it'd be 792.
bank robbery insurance.
1022.
That's a far out example.
Yep, and it's
So,
Carl Wilbur.
That doesn't mean that.
Okay, thank you.
Everything you get into.
You bet, Mike.
Well, trial lawyers are no dummies, so they sue people in under theories that are covered by insurance too, so that's ameliorates that whole concern. But anyway, that's my message for you, Justin, so let me know if I can be of assistance.
Appreciate the help.
Thank you, Mark,
Thank you.
that's kind of a big deal, could be a big deal.
Well, thanks for looking it over too. I know
Yeah, thanks,
time
John.
got short on
Appreciate
you.
it. I know you're very busy right now, so.
Well, a lot less busy this week than last, but,
Okay.
so.
Yeah, good job on that last week, by the way. We'll put another one away.
Yeah, it's a source of great personal satisfaction to me.
Yeah. Don't do that in this county.
Virginia, you have a question?
How many of you read the article in the Des Moines Register yesterday, and did you find it to be factual?
I don't get that paper.
I didn't get an opportunity yesterday.
I didn't get a chance to read it either.
What was it about?
It was about this DHS and changes and this sort of thing.
What were their claims for us to support or refuse?
Well, that's my question. Did you find it factual? Because I wasn't too sure.
I didn't read it, so I guess I can't comment.
I got it sitting at home, I'll read it.
I think the problem is, this is what the public read.
Sure.
Anything else for me?
No, I'm gonna ask a quick question about the fee schedule, though, again, I just wanna be clear on that,
Thanks, John.
thanks again, John.
Thanks, John.
The, because Neil's exactly right, I mean, it's a pretty major, rung in this ladder on whether or not we can, at the very least, come close to, supporting it, but did you say earlier, Justin, that we'll no longer be able to collect, we'll only be able to collect our direct costs and no longer our indirect costs?
I was just referencing that as of right now, if we use our current rate, that rate only takes in consideration the direct expense and 23% of the indirect, that it doesn't take in consideration the rest of that indirect. So as of right now, that's what that rate takes into account. So if we cost settle at the end of the year, things will just be the same as the last couple of years. And our rate really won't matter as much because we're gonna get cost settled. If we didn't get paid enough, then they'll recoup us some. If we got paid too much, we would recoup them some. So if we cost settle, we'll get what we're supposed to get. At least what we had planned on at the beginning of the year, at the beginning of the fiscal year with the projected cost report. Which, in terms of them paying us, that probably makes the most sense to do that, since we started it one way, it'd be really difficult to change it. But, I don't know if the MCOs are able to decide that, or if DHS still decides that. Starting, obviously they'll decide the fee schedule, but as far as when that starts, like I say, we've been hearing two different sides of it. The rate isn't really gonna matter as much if we cost settle, because we'll get what we're getting, and if that's the case, then we would probably be required to use the rate that we have now. If there's a fee schedule, then we would be required to use whatever rate that fee schedule says.
Well, on page 11, I'm reading under, specifically saying that you're an independent contractor, that you're working for an agreed-upon fee, and I can see where your fee is going to be based on units, and I don't see where there any discussion about any cost settling at the end of the year for anything else.
Right, so, in one way, you can look at it two ways. Is that good or bad? It just means that, we've always been good at providing our clients with everything they need. We see them regularly, and so we typically get a lot of units because of that.
Mhm.
So if you look at it that way, we're probably, I can't say for sure because we don't know what that fee is gonna be, but if we just typically do what we're already doing, with even an average fee, we would be able, you know what I mean? Because
I
last
understand.
fiscal year, we actually provided more units than we had expected and got paid more for the program than we expected. So in the future, if that happens, you know, as far as the program costs, it'd be just fine, according to the MCOs, when they say that there would be no cost settling, you get paid what you get paid.
Last Wednesday, you had a meeting with some of your colleagues. Anything come out of that?
We kind of talked.
I see you have asked Dawn to forward some of that information to me this
Yeah.
morning, and
I think Dawn's attended some meetings through her advisory board that she and a number of the other CEOs, and Deb Eckerman from ISAC has been talking with the CEOs and meeting with the state. And so the information that she's getting is a little bit different than the information we're hearing from AmeriHealth. So it's real confusing to know what is truth or what isn't, or if somebody's got something a little messed up or not. So basically, she gave us some information, I kind of gave them the information that I got from AmeriHealth, so that was kind of, nobody was real sure. And then as far as the other counties, BV County has kind of taken the same approach we have and have submitted the credentialing paperwork and have just been holding off on the contract, so we can get a little bit more information on that. As far as Sac County and Cherokee, they are holding off on everything for now, and seeing how things go.
aren't there case management people more part-time in some of those Sac and Cherokee? or
Yeah,
how's that?
Cherokee has one case manager with a caseload of 35, I believe, and then
Okay.
SAC has one case manager with 37.
Okay,
And that's
pretty
it.
busy,
I
though.
mean, they have,
Okay.
in SAC, there's just one person for everything. In Cherokee, Lisa Bringle is the case management director. She's part-time there with the case manager, so, yeah, I mean, there's
She's
smaller-
also worked for Rolling Hills too,
Correct.
so that's
Yeah.
why I brought that up.
Yeah,
Okay.
so, yeah, they're both small agencies, and even Buena Vista, compared to us, has about half the clients that we do.
Why is that? Because New Hope or
We
being
just,
here, or what's, why
that's
would we
one-
have so many more than?
Just a lot of clients that live in Carroll. A lot of it is New Hope and the other agencies. We have a lot of agencies in town. in that group of
Buena
houses.
Vista, similar population to Carroll County.
Yeah, they just don't have as
Board of
many
Supervisors,
clients.
Marty speaking.
Right.
So you're just waiting for us to give the final approval on this?
We're waiting on that and waiting to decide what to do with the fee. I mean, I can go ahead and put a fee in there if you're comfortable with the rest of it, after we talk to ISAC about John's concern.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, if you decide that it's okay after that, even if we, you know, depending on what we hear from ISAC, then, you know, we can have it signed, I can put a fee in, otherwise we can wait and kind of see how it's going for another week or two.
But we still have to have this in no later than tomorrow,
They say
correct?
tomorrow. When I talk to them again, they recognize that things aren't going as they anticipated. So, yeah.
Imagine that.
Well-
I asked them, I said, you know, we're not probably gonna be able to make this deadline with the contract, is that okay? And they said, that should be okay, because, you know, well, I really don't know that anybody that we've talked to are gonna get it in by that date. I mean, there's some things not in there, so.
A lot of blanks there yet.
Mhm.
Yes, absolutely. And the fee is very important. You can't possibly approve contract without having a fee in there.
Right.
And it's a big blank space. If we put our own fee in there, maybe it's doable. I have a little higher comfort level after visiting with John. His only major concern was on the reciprocal indemnification on lawsuits, I
I
think.
mean, we can put a fee of what our estimated units and the whole cost of the program in there. And if that's not acceptable and it's a less fee, then we could always negotiate back down to that, or if they said, you know, it has to be or what, we could always go back down. We could, you know, it'd be a lot more difficult, obviously, to go up. But, I mean, we could put a fee in there of what would cost for the program.
I would think as far as that 5.3, Deb would have some input on that from ISAC. I think she'd be a good one to contact on that.
Yeah, I will, yeah, I'll ask about that.
Justin and Angela, I asked you this last week under Section 2. You know, there's a page and a half of obligations from the provider, and you really said we really haven't had that much chance to look at it. We've had a week. Can we meet all of these obligations? Are you
Yeah.
confident we can
Yeah.
meet all of these
Yeah,
obligations?
we looked through and went over each one specifically, and no problem.
Okay. Well, what we're talking about today, let's, you know, call a spade a spade. This is life or death of Carroll County case management. So I'm inclined to move forward with the provider contract based solely on my intention to keep Carroll County case management alive and afloat for our consumers. And there's a reason why Don's getting different information than what these guys are getting, is because these MCOs are forced to be in a position to talk out of both sides of their mouth. They have to be. I mean, they really, I don't think they're doing it to mislead or misguide anybody. It's, you know, they don't know really what they're getting themselves into, and none of these have ever really done business in the state of Iowa before either.
That's a comment I was gonna make. None of these companies are from the
They don't
state.
know what they're getting themselves into
No.
yet. And as for the other three MCOs, I think they're letting this one forge the path,
And we've-
quite frankly.
We've heard that, well, the Amerigroup hadn't decided yet what they were gonna do, and they were gonna get back to us with a specific case management contract if they decided to. And then United Healthcare, they were gonna be working on, they sent us a checklist to complete, and it just basically was a checklist of, you know, what do you do, case management, what area do you serve, which I
Right.
just said we serve Carroll and surrounding areas. And he sent that checklist in, and then they were still working on the case management application. So they were gonna send that to us whenever they
Okay.
completed it. And I asked when I sent it in if this was gonna be a temporary thing or a long-term, and the person that was the contact person didn't know that yet, whether it was gonna be a short-term thing or a long-term thing.
Well, bottom line for me is I know there's a lot of unanswered questions here. I know we're really delving into the great unknown, but I believe we owe it to our consumers to provide the very best case management that's available out there, and I've long been convinced that it is from Carroll County Case Management. So we're really, you know, in a position here to lay a bet that's based on the services that you provide to our consumers. And we're probably going to be taking a whole new look at this thing in a year anyway, but without moving forward with it, we're essentially killing a service that's been very valued to our consumers.
So Mark, what would you suggest that we put our total cost in there for a rate?
I think I would. I mean, why not put it in there high?
Right.
We don't want to put the cost settled rate in there,
Correct.
because that's not the cost of our program.
Correct. I'd add 123% at a minimum
And we
of
can-
what our 15-minute increment rates
Yeah,
are.
it'll be pretty easy to just take our total cost divided by our units, and that way nothing else, none of that 23% gets factored in, and we could have what that rate would be
Right.
to cost flow.
Yeah, that's what I was saying last
Yeah.
week, was,
And we can put that in.
yeah,
And by all means, Mark's suggestion of inflating it by 23% is very good, because I think you're also saying you'd be willing to do some neighboring counties. There could be extra transportation and cost. There's just going to be a lot of changes you're going to have to make irregardless, and it takes a lot of time, and time is money. So it's going to cost you more to do this in the future than it has in the past until you get everything shifted around. It just is. And I want to move forward too. However, if they said there's no problem in waiting a week, I'd rather wait a week and get it done right than be the first in line and
I'm
have
okay
too
with
many
that too.
mistakes.
Absolutely, I mean, if.
We may have more
I would
information.
agree with
than
that.
we-
Yeah, I'm
That's what I
okay
was gonna
with
say,
that.
then,
Yeah.
that
I'm okay with that.
indemnification and
Not
that.
being pushed.
Yeah, but our plans are, mine are just to move forward with it,
Yeah.
but.
Well,
Yes, yeah, I think so
Yeah.
too. It's just a matter of when you pull the trigger, because this is it's more than a handshake agreement. This is a binding contract.
So next week I can bring in, if we don't have any new information about the rate, I can figure the rate and bring that with a contract completely filled out with what we want to put in it. And then you guys can decide then if you wanted to sign it as is and submit it.
Yeah,
If we get any new information, I can present
We
that to
can do
you
that,
and then
yeah.
make adjustments as needed.
Yeah.
yes.
Rolling Hills is meeting again on Wednesday, but I'm really not too optimistic about getting a lot of information there on Wednesday. I kind of expected that a month ago, and it didn't happen, and
I'll be there on Wednesday too.
you're gonna be there Wednesday too? Well, I'm not expecting a lot this week, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I saw Lisa Bringle, I just ran into her yesterday, and I asked her how the meeting went last Wednesday, and she didn't have much to say, so I don't know what her take was on it. I'll find out
Yeah,
Wednesday.
and, I mean-
It was kind of a different scenario. We
Yeah.
just crossed paths at the fair, you know?
And they're in a little bit different situation than us because they're pretty small up there in Cherokee, so.
She didn't seem to have the concern that we do, but it's a part-time job for her too. It's not a-
Exactly.
Well, we'll probably plan on seeing you Monday.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Can I just enter real fast, kind of, not off topic, but related? Have you had, letters have gone out to some of our consumers? Do we know that any of our consumers are in receipt of this? And then my companion question would be, has anybody called you saying, what is going on and can you explain it?
We sent our letters out. Somebody got a question, because one of the providers in town had also provided some information that one of the guardians was confused about and had contacted our office, so.
Okay.
And spoke to the case manager, and that was clarified.
Okay, and do you believe that it's crystal clear, either by our letter or what's going to go out from DHS, that they're going to be assigned to an MCO unless they choose one?
Yeah, that's what we put in our letter. I'm not sure what's gonna come in the letter.
Of course
from the
you're not,
state.
yeah.
So we just kind of outline just generally,
Okay.
this is what's gonna happen, this is what it's gonna
Okay.
affect. We're gonna try to talk to the local providers and help you figure things out so you can
Okay.
make your choice.
And then lastly, we still have a plan in place to contact all of our consumers and draw their attention to this
We're
matter.
planning on meeting with everybody next month.
Perfect.
We're gonna try
I encourage you to do so.
talk to the providers and by the end of this month, and that way we can hopefully have all that information. Hopefully they have the information to provide us
Okay.
with which MCOs are gonna contract with, so we can just kind of make a list, MCO, providers, and then you, specific client, this is where you fall, to try to help them make the best choice.
Very good.
Does it seem like, of course, AmeriHealth Caritas is looking to contract this out? Are the other three planning on doing it internally yet, or do you really know?
I don't think that they know for sure yet. They've been working with ISAC and advisory group about a per member per month fee. I don't know that any of them have really, besides AmeriHealth, made a strong decision either way yet.
Right.
United was the one that was requesting each county's cost, actual cost to figure out the per member per month. They were the ones that were requesting that. And Russell Wood was the one that was gathering that information on behalf of all the counties,
So one would presume they're just going to put together an aggregate and then.
possibly, and do an average.
And the thing is, if that's the case, if we contracted with United, they wanted us, and AmeriHealth, they wanted us, one could do per member per month, one could do the current way we're doing it now, and it could be kind of confusing. But, I mean,
No
we would,
consistency.
We would do it.
make it, we can do it, yeah, it would just be, different.
Mhm.
But-
Sure, you'd be having different companies, you'd be contracting with two different companies, and they're gonna do things differently.
Yeah.
You almost have to have almost two different ways you do bookwork.
Yeah, double set of books, Gina.
Careful now.
None of us have
Careful
done-
now.
We aren't very good at that.
Well, I mean, you do one
Yes,
client this way,
sure.
this client this way, it's like.
I mean, because
Yeah.
it really is two
In
different.
particular, if you're sitting there and you've got 3 clients do it this way and one that does it this way.
And the one good thing about the CSN that we use now is they're also gearing up for the MCO stuff, so, I mean, it's very likely that each client would be tagged with what MCO they have. So it would, it's easy for me to say it, but it shouldn't be that difficult for them to then be able to use that tag of this person has this MCO, so this is the information we get ready for them. This one has this one, so this is the information we get ready for
So
them.
that would be built right on the program. That would be good.
Hopefully.
Yeah, if that works, then it wouldn't be such a big.
It would be them to program it right away, to get it set up, but then for us afterwards, if that's how it worked, it wouldn't be that much different than it is now, except we would send our billing to more than one place.
Is there any concern that you maybe have a client now who would want to stay with you with AirHealth Caritas, but they say, however, we have to go back to WellCare of Iowa because they're contracting with somebody that has the services that they need and Caritas is not?
We're hoping that all of the providers, at least for now, contract with all 4. I think it would make sense to them to do that.
Sure.
Otherwise, I mean, they're gonna be in a difficult situation as well. If they pick one, half their clients don't go with that one,
Yeah.
pick 2, and, you know, so.
The
We don't know
provider,
yet.
the providers, when I talk providers, I'm talking Home Care Options, New Hope Family, those providers that are, the providers that our clients typically receive their services from, those type of providers have a 2-year automatic contract with each of the MCOs. The MCOs have to offer a
Okay.
contract
Okay.
to those type of providers. The other providers, your medical providers, so McFarland Clinic, the hospitals, they have from January 1st to the end of June to establish contracts with the MCOs. So they don't have the automatic buy-in contract that the other providers that our members use. Does that make sense?
They're the ones you are concerned about then?
Those are the ones that
Yeah.
we're concerned about, and those are the ones
Yeah.
that we're tending to reach out to right now to find out what their intention is.
Well, that's a good explanation, Angela, thank you.
And I would think that most of the, you know, McFarland Clinic, for example, they're not just Carroll, they're big.
Mhm.
And I would think it would make a lot of sense for them to contract with all 4.
Does make sense. That's,
So.
After 2 years, though, things could look a little differently for the members and having to make some more difficult choices.
yeah. Do you trust them to write a book on common sense, though? No, I don't, I see what you're saying.
Depends if there's 2 sets of books for common sense, too.
In a year, we'll know a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, even though we may get something figured out now, it's still gonna be still meeting with you guys on Mondays and
Yeah, it's gonna-
as it goes along, you know, as things probably
Yeah.
change a little bit as they go, because this is totally new in Iowa for those MCOs. And, you know, just like the state has done in the past, things have changed throughout the year.
Yeah.
So,
Look forward to getting better acquainted with you on Monday.
yeah.
All right.
Thank
I think-
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Meantime.
You've done a great job, both of you. Thank you very much.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, with that, we'll go down to item number 3, is to set the public hearing for fiscal 16 budget amendment.
Well, I had planned on doing that closer, like after the city election, but Dave brought it to my attention that he has a vendor that's doing.
So moved.
Okay, got a motion